and welcome to the Pilot Review Show. This is Scott, and we have a lot of things going on here. We got a lot of news, a lot of blogs, a lot of fun that we're having, that's happening right now. Um, Let me introduce the people that we have here. We got Timber joining us.
How's it going, guys? Always glad to be on.
And joining us, probably more now as a regular co-host, we have Teacher Kirby.
Howdy, folks. How's it going?
And as our other regular co-host now, we got Chris Hoskins, our bug hunter.
Giggity.
Giggity, giggity. Uh, we got a lot that's been going on. There's a lot of news that's come out from Star Trek Online this week here. I got a few things we're going to probably touch on. We're probably going to have a little discussion on all sorts of things that's going to come up here this week. But let's get right to it. I mean, right off the bat here, we got something that Timber had a great experience with. I know that. He always enjoys these.
I always have a great experience. It's what I do. But what are we talking about?
We're talking about your interview with Maria.
Oh, yes. Now, that was delightful. That was her second time being on the channel. And just got to chat for over an hour. Didn't even feel like an hour. Got to chat for over an hour about STO, Agency Yesterday, console releases, her inspiration, all sorts of things. Always a pleasure to have her on. I'm hoping to talk to her live in Vegas so we can get some live feedback from her about whatever they're showcasing there at the convention.
Now, this is your second interview that you've had with her so far.
First one I did last year. I think it was late last year. And she was gracious enough to honor me with a second interview. It was a beautiful thing. And I know that she likes to go off, and she likes to go in depth with a lot of things. But that was perfect. The more that the devs are willing to talk about what they do and give insight, the better. I found myself a lot of times when she was talking, I just muted my mic. I let her go because you can't beat that level of dev communication. You really can't.
Yeah, and considering how much our hands are in things with Star Trek.
Oh, God, yeah, especially with Agency Yesterday. And to have that level of feedback where, once again, the one thing I do love about these interviews is it's not player to dev. It honestly feels like every time I have someone on, it's person to person, and it's two people. We're sitting, at a table randomly, like a coffee shop, it feels like, and we're just chatting and having a good time. And I love that. I hope we can get her on again, maybe on Pilot Review. My request to her is, and she said we'd try to work on it. I'd like her to come on and just do some random runs in game. She does play the game in her own time, and I'd love to see if she'd like to do some Borg fighting and crystalline catastrophe with us, and just sit back and relax and have fun like we always do over here.
It's always awesome. I mean, just seeing some of the different interviews that they're doing these days. I mean, this goes back to like what we discussed last time, where we're starting to see more and more of them coming out of not just out of a shell, so to say, but coming out to the public more often than not. I mean, I remember we go back. I mean, this never happened. Stuff like this.
Well, I think it's important, especially now. You've got the console release, and you've got Agency Yesterday. You've got a lot coming out in the next few months. You got Summer Event even. There's so much coming out. You're broadcasting to new areas of gamers who have never played the game before or couldn't because they didn't have a PC that could handle it. And I think it really is important at this stage that they do get out there and they do talk about what they do and their involvement. And we've seen with like Cryptic Rock on Tribbles and Ecstasy explain some of the reasons why things have been taken away from the game and how they're trying to bring them back, or coding issues. And it's very important because the more that especially these newer players see, hey, they've got a dev community that actually talks to the community and works with them, it's going to breed a much better environment for the player base, and in
Yeah.
turn that'll help the devs even more. So I'm applauding them. They are really doing what a lot of players think is necessary with all of the stuff coming out. They're coming out, and not only are they talking about what they do, they're having fun doing it. And that's
Yes.
definitely important.
Yep.
Well,
And one of the things
they've
I
been
found
very public. Go ahead.
sorry, one of the things I found interesting was that she mentioned in there that the times when there's not a lot of communication, it's usually because they've got their head in on a problem and they're focused on trying to fix something and they forget.
Yeah.
You know,
And the perfect
they
example of
forget
that
to
is
pop up and
Bordicus.
go, "Hey, we're working on this."
Yeah,
Yeah,
the perfect example is Bordicus. He
and
disappeared
so
for
that
a
was interesting.
while, and then when he finally
He
comes
did.
back, he came back with the Powers Performance update that he said was primarily Spartan and Flying Targ, but he was working on it. So it explains perfectly why he disappeared from social
Yep.
media. He was working on something very, very
Mm-hmm.
important.
Yeah, we
But
say
at
that a
least there's
lot,
the
which is nice.
communication there.
Yeah.
But anyways, good job with the interview. It's great that. I mean, we have to start doing more. We have to get more people on here. We're in the. For those of you out there that's kind of curious, we are in the process of trying to get a few people here on the Pilot Review Show. So we're working that out, waiting for the responses and replies, the OKs, and everything else like that. So that is in the process. We do, and hopefully we'll have things like that going on. And Vegas is going to be fun because we will get them sitting with us. I guarantee you.
And don't forget to submit your builds.
Yes.
We
Yes,
still do that.
we still
We
do
still
that.
bring you on.
We will still look at your builds. I mean, this isn't just about. I mean, we're talking about the show. We're talking about different things here. There's a lot of things that's come out that's kind of fun, and some things that's fixing some things so we can actually start piloting better too. So fixing some of the lag issues, for example.
Yes.
And going right in with that, we got the release notes that came out Thursday. I will be honest, I haven't had a whole lot of chance to play since Thursday's update. I've basically played like two two, 3 CCAs, and a few PvP matches to do some testing and such. Have you guys noticed a difference since this update?
I don't know. It seems like most of the CCAs aren't quite as laggy as they previously were. I know they put in a few, not in this last patch, but in the patch before. They put in a couple of the lag fixes that Bordicus referred to in his long post, like with the pedal to the metal trait. But other than that, I haven't really noticed a lot. But there seems to be a slight improvement so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some improvement. There's still that every so often on one of my tunes I'll see the lag in CCA or ISA or Kinema Vortex or something like that. But quite honestly, I think when it comes to the lag that we've been seeing, from what Bordicus has been describing, it's discussed with the huge thing that they've been working on with Power's Performance, and it's been put on red shirt. I've seen some people that have already been playing it. They're seeing an improvement, and I think that's just they're gonna try and piece it in little by little. So overall, we probably won't see a great improvement until most of it's already in, and it's
Yeah.
just gonna be a gradual thing. So
Yeah.
far, it's still right now, as far as my personal runs, I'm seeing it maybe 20% of the time when I'm going into any kind of PvE queue of any sort. 20% of the time, I'm seeing a run where it's lagged out, but I couldn't tell you what it is. Since I do a lot of pug runs nowadays, I couldn't tell you if it's because of power interactions, if it's abilities that need to be worked on, like the tactical ultimate, or if it's server side, or what it is. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a point where we're going to see some major fix that's going to come in, and all of a sudden it's going to start clicking, and all of a sudden, bam, we see these major differences. I don't think we're going to notice in some of these fixes what's going on, but this particular last patch, I will say, was very minimal. I would say on what it
Yep.
actually does and what it changes. That could be for a number of reasons. It could be that they have more patches that they're working on, trying to get those ready to go. I don't think it's in line of the new expansion, but that's about to come out. I think we still got a couple months before that's going to come out, but there is the summer event that is getting ready, and they're gearing up for that. Guarantee they are.
Oh, absolutely. That's
So
coming out. Let's see, in just a couple of weeks. I
yeah,
mean,
it's
we've
like
got
a
that in
week
two
or two.
weeks.
So they got that they're preparing for and getting ready to roll out with that. So I think our updates for the next couple of weeks is going to be very slim up until the summer event starts, and then
Yeah.
we'll start seeing a couple of fixes that goes in line with the summer event stuff because they've always seemed to have their release and then like a day after they have a emergency patch because they found something that was buggy or broken.
Yeah, and that's as much as I don't want to say it as a downing thing. It typically does happen when they have a big event coming with anniversary, summer, winter.
Yeah,
They always release something new. Plus, they're probably doing stuff behind the scenes that they're releasing at the same time. So they're always hesitating to see an emergency backdoor patch the
and
next day.
yeah, and
But it's a
as
good
much as I
thing.
would love to say that it doesn't happen. I think the biggest thing is that we have to remember is when those updates do happen, it's because of the fact that we're talking a bunch of new fixes, and they don't want to make us wait a week for something that they could fix with a quick update stuff.
Yeah, and the fact that they're actually responding for
It,
these emergencies in 24 hours, I'll
it's
take that
yeah.
every
Oh
day.
yeah. I'll take it. Anytime.
Yeah.
It's only we don't see those things with these new um, uh, events that's going on. We don't really see them with some of these major things, events or expansions or the half seasons. Those are the times that we really see these emergency patches that typically goes in. So it's not like it's an everyday occurrence. So it's one of the nice things about it. It's some people get annoyed by it. I know that, but at the same time, I'd rather see some of these fixes going as quick as they are versus waiting a whole week.
Absolutely.
So,
Hmm.
but
The
that,
big thing I
No.
would say to that, as far as the patches go, I mean, like I've said a few times on the show now, you're probably gonna have at some point or another when you're programming stuff as big as this, that one thing that you never really planned for that's not really gonna get shown until you hit the live servers.
yep.
It does suck having to patch a lot sometimes, but like y'all were saying, it's better to get it over with, get it fixed. That way they can concentrate on making more epic content and stuffs.
Indeed, indeed, indeed,
Yeah,
indeed.
exactly.
Um,
I did notice in I did notice in this last batch of patch notes, the last one is resolved an issue that was causing Borg tractor beams to be unresistible and unaffected to immunities to tractors.
yep. Which our friend
So
Seleknar is
yeah.
saying that him and another friend of ours, that's Ed, worked on getting that one fixed. Bravo.
Y- yes.
So,
So your attack pattern Omega and polarized hull will now make you immune to tractor beams again.
yay!
Yay.
That's one of those things
Yay.
that occurred. But anyway, so that's the things. I mean, the programs that are sitting working, trying to find these little bugs like this, it does work. I mean, that's coming from stuff like that. They're saying, "Hey, this is broken." It's like, "Hey, it is. We're fixing it right now." So, anyways, let's move on. We got a console blog that came up from Cryptic, just kind of showing us some different things with the console and the new UI here. So it's kind of fun here. You see, obviously you got the PC version up here, and then you go down to below, and you see the console layout for that same setup, and it's quite nice. I kind of honestly, in some ways, I would kind of say that I like what I'm seeing in some of these situations a lot better than what we have on the PC.
It's definitely interesting to say the least, though I will say I want to test it. Why is there not a triple
Yeah.
server now available for consoles where we can go ahead and test this now?
Yeah, come on, Cryptic.
That's all I'm asking.
It'd be kind of
Test
it'd be
server.
kind of fun, But I do have to say that some of the layouts is kind of nice. I kind of like some of the ways they're doing things, and it would be nice to see this same console layout come to the PC version too. Honestly,
Though I will be the first to admit, as much as I'm looking forward to the consoles, I am gonna have a keyboard and mouse standing by just in case, because I'm not I'm not sold yet on using my controller for STO, and I could be proven wrong when it does get released.
yeah.
But I do want to have a backup just in case.
I think a lot of people's question is in this round UI that they have for the skills.
Yeah, the rotary. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's
definite
I think that's the one
interesting
area
setup.
that people have question on, and I imagine because it probably won't be released yet, we'll probably be able to see this at the convention.
It's
Hopefully,
possible.
maybe it'd be nice if we
Probably
do
will.
it.
To be
'Cause
honest,
it'd be ready by
Yeah,
then.
it is.
to be honest,
It is
this kind
interesting
of
you say you're not.
Oh my
Kirby.
god.
Again. I love my delay. It makes it seem like I'm purposely interrupting when I'm not.
Go ahead,
Anyway,
Kirby.
no, it's interesting you say about the not using or not being sold on using a controller, because one of our friends, Ed, does actually use a controller right now with the PC version and does quite well. So,
Well, I know. It's
of
just
course, that's using the PC interaction, but yeah.
for me, I mean, with my PlayStation 4, I'm used to a certain setup of games. I'm used to Twisted Metal and Doom and Call of Duty. That's
Hmm.
mainly first person or vehicular combat. When it comes to all the different abilities of STO and everything, my first thought is it could be a little clumsy. But like I said, I could be entirely wrong, and it could actually be streamlined to where it could be a better fit than keyboard and mouse. That's why I want to have a keyboard as a backup for it, but I'm hoping I'm pleasantly surprised about the console being on, your controller.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris. I know you're about to say something earlier.
Yeah.
To be honest, this actually reminds me a lot of the old Oblivion and Skyrim games. If you've seen the old rotary type of setup that they had, you could load on, say, a healing spell. On one hand, you've got your sword. On another one, you've got your bow and arrow, stuff like that. And it seems to work pretty good for that. I'm kind of wanting to see a little bit more before I say one way or another, as far as if I'm think I'm gonna like it and everything, because I
Mm-hmm.
still think it's very, very early. But if they polish it up as good, and I'm sure they probably will, if they polish it up as good as they had in Oblivion, then I don't see this being too big of an issue, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see everything when it uh, falls into place. It's gonna be. I think we're all curious of how the console setup is going to make things run. Um, I think they're very ambitious in making this design, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it ends in the end, in the long run. It could be any way of things. I mean, this could be controlled by the right joystick when you bring it up, and then you click your scale and you make it goes away. And
I think the other thing that enters into it is, and this is for me personally, I have the free roam camera. So not only am I controlling my piloting, but with my mouse I'm controlling where my camera's facing.
yeah, same
in case I
here.
need to. So, for me, I'm thinking of how am I going to have free camera as well as piloting and targeting. That's why I say I have to wait to see until it comes out for my final say on it, whether I like it or not. But
I have a feeling that
I have to have
the
I have more
camera control is
info.
going to be the right joystick, honestly. But there's going to be
Yeah.
times you can probably have to use that right control stick because you don't want to take the control of the ship itself away while you're selecting your skills. So
And that's what I'm saying. There's got to be more info that has to come out before I can
yeah.
even remotely say one way or another. It's
And-
just going on what I'm seeing now.
Yep, and we're still very early in things here, and It could be that these are the initial things that's going on, and when they do some of their um, test cases around the place, this is one of those things that we end up seeing down the road that's going to get changed and revamped because of the fact that it's not doing things right as they was hoping it, or they have suggestions from the player base saying, "Hey, try this instead," because this is so clunky or whatever it be. Because they want to make the players happy with the things that's going on, so they, at the same time, they want to make it unique compared to other situations.
Well, I do know, and I was talking with this with Maria. I know one thing that's a point of contention for consoles, and it's not as far as layout. It has to do with the anniversary events and the summer and winter events.
Yes.
And from our talks on our interview, there is the possibility that since the anniversary of STO for PC does not relate to the anniversary of the consoles, they're going to have their own separate anniversary date and their own summer and winter events where basically they start over from scratch. So they would start year one as far as their releases of starships.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as the consoles, they potentially could start 7 years behind us when it comes to the anniversary event and everything. So they would potentially, if it's done that way, have access to all the ships that the PC gamers have had for the past 7 years to give some parity.
That could be interesting. That could make some people who started PC that never got the ships interested in going to the console so they can get those ships to have fun with those.
And like I said, they haven't hammered that down yet, but they do have that as an idea, as an option, just because it would, when they're playing the game, and they're watching us on YouTube, they're playing stuff for the first time, they're seeing ships that aren't available.
So they kind of have to.
It would be a point of contention with them going, well, I want that starship. I just started on console. Oh, well, it was available for PC 3 years ago, and you can't have it. Yeah. So I could see them starting all over again on console.
It'll be interesting if they
making them, or just making them backwards available, or available during the event time, of course, for everybody, both PC and console.
Well, like I said, they haven't figured that one out yet. From what she was telling me, it's still a point of contention, still something they're discussing.
Well, it's still a point of contention even on the PC side of things. People still want those ships that's just started this year. I mean, they want those ships that they see everyone else asking about. I mean, think of how many ships you can't get. Like you got the Sullivan South ship that people can't get anymore. Straight out of a box.
Samsar and the Breen ships.
Samsar, the Breen.
The Breen ships, the Rising ships, the
Voth, a Bulwark, for example. I mean,
let's see here, the Solanae Destroyer, the Dyson Destroyer, and the first Odyssey to give away.
Actually,
well, it was first to give away. Now it's Lobby. It's one of the few that they've actually made Lobby, but it's just like the Odyssey class. They gave away the Odyssey, and now that's a fleet ship.
Yep. Those were some of the few. I mean, that's one of the things that, from what I remember as well, hearing, I think Salami or Gecko, one of the two, but their biggest thing that they said was they're trying to figure out how to make these past ships available in a way that seems fair to the players who own them currently and the players who do not own them but would like to, and it's challenging to find a good mix, a medium between the two.
Yeah, and that's we brought that up.
I mean, I would say Lobby. I mean, I haven't heard anybody complain about the fact that the few ships that were put into the Lobby store after their event. I haven't heard a complaint from anybody about the fact that those are still available in the Lobby store. Either from previous people that currently own it, that got it during the event, or from people that have bought it with Lobby.
It's interesting to think of that.
The other option, of course, and this wasn't, as far as I remember, it was somebody else that was in our group. They brought up if you're doing the anniversary event, there's a second one. basically like they do the last chance lockbox. Instead of it being last chance lockbox where it's every 3 months, it's last chance event, and once a year you're grinding for tokens, and then when you've got the appropriate number of tokens, you can pick from any one of the previous events, ships or items, but you can only do it once a year. So for me, example, if I was to do this event, I'd have the tokens where I could get a Ryzian ship, or the one Breen ship I missed, or whatever the first winter event ship that is. But you can only get one a year. So next year I'd have an option to get another one. That would level it off for everybody, and it would only cost a couple of days, because I mean they don't have problems with people doing dailies. We do the daily race for winter event, and we do the daily little pod racing or whatnot when it comes to summer event. So we do that for a starship.
Well, here's a thought here, and I don't know about the anniversary ships. Anniversary ships could be the same, could be a similar pattern. Here's a thought here that can be done. Typically, if someone is very diligent on doing these various different events, they're always going to have a few days extra, and all of a sudden the event is dead after certain days, because you start seeing these people get their ships and they're done and they don't never go back. But here's a way to make them go back is, 2 days collections, for example, could be after you get your first 1,000, the 2 days after can allow you to unlock another ship.
Yeah.
Make use of the event beyond the initial collection. I mean, you're still going to have people that's going to open up the lobby boxes and get them that way, and they're making bank on that. They're making bank on that. I guarantee they are. But you're going to have those people who are willing to do it more, but stop because there's no point in it in collecting anything beyond that 1,000 initially.
Yeah, I think the only reason that any of us are doing Crystalline Catastrophe at this point, if we already haven't had previous tokens,
is because of everything else.
Yeah, we're stockpiling for the next one because it's the only one it's one of only 2 that they still have the same currency every year.
Until
when it comes to summer event, until they change it. But for summer event, you do those first 14 days, you get the starship. There's no point to do that event for the rest of that summer, and that thing runs for a month and a half. So you've done it in 14 days or less when you use Lobby, and then there's no point to do it. You can go on Ryzen, do whatever, but if you're going for the starship, you're done. And most people just go for the starship, and then they go back to their daily grind. So using that, definitely, you keep people on Ryzen more per day to get additional rewards.
No,
that'd be nice.
that'd make one reason for some players to go back there more often. Here's the other thing that can be done in addition to those points, because what about me? I've got every ship up to now from these events. What do I do that makes me go back? Well, you use those additional points for other things. Like, for example, 4 days worth of tokens goes into a spec point or some other benefit or some other special item to make it worth doing it. Because, you're going to have these... Eventually, it's going to come down to the point. They're going to find out that, players are getting bored of their grind that was going on from the ships. And you want to make people go back to these events so that it's worth doing them to the very end.
Absolutely.
And I just want to point this out, Timber. I don't know if you noticed this with the Star Trek console blog, but the ship they use.
Trust me, I know. Jumped up right then.
You get there,
We just killed a Timber.
Can you breathe, bro?
You heard it on Pilot Review. We almost killed Timber because of bringing up his Odyssey.
Well, it's one of those things that's fitting. I mean, with this year being the 50th, it was fitting Agency yesterday.
Well, the other thing...
Star Trek Online, you got to talk about the flagship of the Federation currently, which is the Odyssey class.
Yep.
That should be the one you show off first.
Although they should have named it Enterprise instead of the Yorktown. I mean, come on here.
Don't get me started on that.
Well,
It's one of those things. I just want to point that out. But so there's that.
Killed it.
So let's move on here to one of the other blogs here because we got a bunch of blogs here. We don't want to talk about the console blog all day long. We could do that. We got plenty of stuff we can talk about that, rants and whatnot. But we got the blog that came out called the Battle of Caleb 4. This is one of the new missions that's coming up in the Agents of Yesterday expansion. So this is kind of one of those fun things that is on Tribble now. I need to stop slacking and start playing these more.
You need to.
I really need to.
Oh, wait a minute. Spoiler. Heavy spoiler. It's not the last episode. Oh, wait. Trinity gave that away on Twitter. Not a spoiler. Haha.
So we got a bunch of. I mean, they're giving us a bunch of blogs, a bunch of these things. It's kind of nice to see these events here. I mean, we've got the next one here is Tangled Webs, which is another mission that they're kind of going. I mean, I love how they're putting these blogs with these missions because it makes it feel more than just a mission. Gives you some background on things like that.
Yeah, and the way they got the story, it's Tangled Webs and it ends with Battle of Caleb 4. And I'm glad that there's more than just these 6, that they're going to really, really invest in having a multitude of missions for these characters. I'm not sure why they're holding back on it. I'm sure there's something going on as to why behind the scenes that we will probably never know until it's all said and done. But just the 6 that we have, great storyline, and I like the ending so far. I like the ending, and that is no spoiler whatsoever. I can like an ending.
Oh, definitely. So we have an actual blog here. This is more of a story than anything else. This is Purity. You kind of see a few different things that they're kind of. It feels like a journal.
It's the RP blog.
Yeah, it's the RP blog, and it feels like a journal from one of the agents here. So it was kind of nice to see these things because, honestly, this was where they did. For those of you who weren't aware of it, but the Iconian War, a lot of the Iconian War happened in the RP blogs. They really did. That's really where a lot of the Iconian War happened, was in the RP blogs.
Yeah, you saw the blogs about Admiral Paris, or not Admiral, Captain Paris and Admiral Ross, and and et cetera, and the decisions that led to the missions that we play and the things that led to those, and it all was happening in the RP blogs. So if you don't read them, you're kind of missing out on that level of immersion.
Yep. I want to hit on that. I mean, it's so important that you read these, especially if you want to know the story, because unfortunately, for those of you who are coming in after effects, some of those blogs may be hidden deep to find them, but they're worth searching for. They really are worth searching for. One suggestion I would have, if anyone at Cryptic is listening, is create a section for the RP blogs to be found readily accessible so that you don't have to go searching through the site to grab them, because I think those would be something to be beneficial, and then you can link them in the actual missions in the game so people can look those up and see those RP blogs for that mission if they want to get a little more in-depth, because role-playing on Star Trek Online doesn't really happen all that often. But when it does, I guarantee you those RPers want more.
Absolutely.
So this last one that we have, this last blog, is another one of these before and after. I don't know how exactly I feel about this, honestly. I think in some ways I like some of the details from the before a little bit better versus the after one. Like this pillar here is kind of nice in the after, but these bars that go across the walkway on it, I like in the before, honestly. They feel like they got more detail.
I noticed in this one when I swipe to the after, it gets darker. It seemed in the other before and afters, it always seemed brighter
Yes, this one
in the
seemed to get
after, but in
darker.
this one it seems darker, which was a little different. So I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be
Yeah,
honest. I
and,
like
and I
the
think
other
they should have had
ones.
the exact same thing because you got this soldier on the
Yeah.
after. So it would have been nice to have that soldier on the before so you can kind of do a comparison on that. I mean, you got this person in the
Yeah.
background that you can kind of see a little bit better in the before actually because you can see the actual stripes of the uniform that he's wearing.
Yeah.
You notice that? But in the after, you
Yeah,
can't
I've
see that
noticed that too.
anymore. So this is kind of one of those before and afters that I think is a little bit of a mix. I think they could have mixed it a little bit better in some of the things, and they could have made it a lot nicer in that effect if they would have kept some of the details of the before. Actually, I, so that's kind of one of those. This one I'm kind of mixed on how it came out, honestly. So, what you guys just thoughts? Did you guys see this? Uh,
I've seen it, and yeah, it was a hit and miss. There needs to be a lot more when it comes to comparisons, just so we can get a really good idea what's going on.
yeah,
And even when that does happen, I still think in the long run it's going to be hit and miss with the player base because it. I think half of it when it comes to the PC part, as far as what we're seeing, it's also going to depend on what level of machine your PC is. For
this is true.
PlayStation, naturally, or Xbox, that's going to be improvement because guess what? They haven't had it before now. But with PC, it's going to depend on whether you're just running a stock laptop you bought at Best Buy or if you've spent 4 grand on your dream machine that will probably be able to run things that are 4K resolution and make this game look like a joke when it comes to graphics. And that's not a knock at STO, but there are games that are built for 4K resolution, and
Yes.
STO didn't come around for 4K. It's been around a lot longer. Um, but it's all going to depend on what resolution you're already used to. So for some, I think the changes are actually going to be a negative because they're already used to a certain quality, and with their newer setups it might end up looking a little worse. And then with some PCs it's going to look a lot better, or there might be some that with the changes their graphics card can't handle it.
Yeah, and
There's
I,
always
and I
that
kind of
scenario.
I kind of hope that some of these before and afters that they have and are doing that some of them do come to the PC as well. That they're not just doing it for the console.
Yeah, it's all going to depend. I mean, for console it's looking great, it really is.
Yeah, I think they kind of
That's
had
why
to
I'm looking
smooth
so
out a
much
lot for
PC though.
console. I think they had kind of smoothed out a lot of stuff for the console because if you look at some of the edges, especially on the on the left side here, we got to see some of these hard edges that they got here. They kind of get smoothed out for the after.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of having to smooth it out for the consoles because the consoles do have a lacking in the actual display that they can handle. So they kind of got to make it work for the consoles, and in some cases that might work for some of these older PCs as well.
Now I know, and I've been keeping up with PlayStation. I'm keeping up with their updates and everything a lot more now that I know STO's coming to it. Because yeah, I'm gonna have to play both.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun as hell. Sarcasm slightly. Um, but they are doing updates where PlayStation 4 and Xbox will actually be able to in the future have VR support, and they'll have resolution up to 4K as far as compatibility. The initial thought is it'll be a new console like PlayStation 4.5 and Xbox 1.5 or something like that. And I don't think in the long run they're going to go with that because it's going to piss off a lot of people. These consoles just came out in the past 2 years, and people are not going to want to drop another $400 to $600 on another console.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping what they're going to do instead is it's very easy to if you've already put all this time into making for sure that these consoles are beastly, then it should just be a software change where
Yes.
you can upgrade your software and everything else. That it shouldn't require you basically buying another $500 console. For PC, a lot of PC players are used to it. Oh, I need a new graphics card. Let me just go piece that out. I need a new motherboard. They're used to changing parts. When it comes to consoles, You can't keep buying a console every year.
No one wants to do that every year. Yeah.
So I'm seeing that more as a software update, a huge one, mind you, with a lot of changes. But if they go to what could be 4K resolution, they might end up actually having just as great a quality of STO on console, if not better, than some PCs currently have. Like I said, depending on the setup. That for just looks wise and immersion into the game as far as clarity, that would be a game changer for a lot of these console players seeing what we're putting out on PC and they're going, well, I'm getting it a lot clearer here.
Yes.
But it's going to depend. It's honestly going to depend not just on how STO gears what's coming out on a console, but how the consoles handle the new upgrades for 4K and VR. Because I will tell you, I have looked at the possibility someone's going to find a way, whether it be Cryptic or someone or PlayStation or whatever, they're going to try and make VR work for STO. I can see it. Just call it prophetic thinking. Someone will have a VR headset where they are in the middle of that combat zone with a VR, at the very least on ground, possibly in space.
Yep.
And that would be interesting to say the least. Especially with a free roam camera, where that way you're not using your mouse to move the camera, you just move your head and you can see the entire battlefield at once while you're flying around. So all you're worried about is targeting.
Wow.
I see that happening. I do.
Yeah, that's coming. It's just going to take time.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to. Is everything's trying to go to VR and 4K. So we could have that era in the next couple of years where we have VR headsets playing the game, and our immersion into combat is a significant one.
Yep, definitely. So with that, we got a lot of things to look forward to this. I mean, we're going to see more of these before and afters. I guarantee it. I mean, let's look at it. I mean, they're planning it. They're planning weekly that they're going to be showing this up until they release Agents of Yesterday, and they might even go beyond just the release of Agents of Yesterday and still continue to release the before and afters, because there's some people that don't want to get the consoles, or they don't have the ability to get the consoles, and they want to see what it's going to look like in the console still. They want to see if it's going to be something that's worth getting in, because they want to entice them to get onto it for multiple reasons. I guarantee it. So let's go ahead and move on here. We're coming up into the last part of our show here. We got the Bugs Corner here that we're calling. Chris, what do we got here? What do we know?
Okay, a couple of good ones. Actually been going around lately. A major one is certain missions crashing people back to the desktop, or giving them white screens while loading that they've got to restart the game. There's a few of these threads going around the forums at the moment. Some of them that myself and the other bug hunters have looked at. Some of them that's just now cropping up. I believe the devs are trying to work to resolve this as well. So if you have any information as far as what is causing it for you, please feel free to pass that on. I know the bug hunters look at reports. I know the devs definitely look at reports too.
Yeah, the more information, the better off it will be. I mean, this could be something that it might be related to a release of drivers from NVIDIA or what's the other one? Radeon. It could be something like that could be causing stuff like this. The more information is better. If you know that your card updated, or if you know that there was some Windows update, stuff like that helps out. Honestly, even though it may be just your computer, it could be something that your computer update caused Star Trek Online to have issues because of some coding conflict between the two.
Could have been Windows 10.
Could just be Microsoft. I mean,
it could be any number of things.
So
There's a lot of possibilities.
The more information that comes out with any of these bugs, because the important thing is you've got to remember, Cryptic does want to get these fixed. I mean, let's go back to the patch. I mean, this came as a result of bug hunters and players working together to figure out that it was broken. Okay, the more information that there is out like I said, I will hit that hit that again and again. The more information that is reported, the better off it is on the forums. That is where Cryptic goes to. That's where the bug hunters go to, because it stays there, and they can find it a lot quicker, and it's searchable for everyone too.
Which that reminds me, Chris, I have paperwork for 2 that you might want to look into, and we can talk about next week. But I wanted to let
Jesus.
and we've talked about it to a little degree on TeamSpeak, when we're doing our random plays. But I figure we can do additional research to make for sure, and then we can talk about them next week. And if I'm right, they need to be fixed.
Sounds like a plan.
Yep,
Yeah,
and
they
we
need
got
to
some
be
other things
fixed.
that
Oh my
we've
God.
been working on too, is trying to figure out if it's actually going on or not. Anyways, anything else that you got there, Chris? I know you had a few things.
The other big one that seems to be going around for some people is issues with the transwarping to the beta quadrant not working correctly. I know, actually, in my case, once or twice, I would try to transwarp and it would put me clear somewhere that only God or Q knows where it ended up putting me. But yeah, those are the 2 major ones going around. But yeah, like I say, if you got info, please feel free to pass it on. That's where most of the bug hunter reports actually comes from, is average players.
Yep. These guys just grab that information and figure out if they can make it replicatable and go from there.
He says he likes paperwork, so send him paperwork.
Don't listen to that guy. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it! It's a trap!
Send him paperwork.
Anything else there that you got there? Was that it?
That's the only major ones I've got.
Alright. We're working a few other things, trying to see if it is a bug or if it's working as intended, so more on that to come if it turns out to be a bug. Teacher's Corner! Teacher,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yep, Teacher's Corner brought it over from the show. So, just a little quick history. So, the idea behind Teacher's Corner was we get asked, as we're helping people with builds, often we get asked the same questions over and over again. And often they're about little things. So I thought, well, why not just make a little video and explain these little things so we can go, here, go watch this, and then if you still have questions, come ask us. And we can get into a more informed discussion about it. So I've been doing that, and I have been doing Teacher's Corner even when I wasn't, even after I left the show. So we decided to bring it here. And so I'm actually in the 3rd video of a series on the specialization trees, because I like to keep them short. So this is the command specialization tree that I did this week. And so I go over the different, what each of the space side of the command tree does for your ship, and what kind of builds it lends itself to. What kind of builds it's best to use it for, and whether it should be primary and secondary and all of those, and even the difference between primary and secondary specialization.
Yep.
So, yeah, for example, the command tree lends itself to a torp build because every single one of those abilities, especially in the first tier of it, is related to torps.
Or kinetic damage in some form.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's one of the
gives
things.
A lot of exposes to.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That's one of the great things about the command. I mean, I use it myself to give you an idea as a secondary, with the intel being my first, because I use a mix of beams and torpedoes. So, anyways, go on, teacher.
Right. And there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people that will do that. They'll use intel as their primary with command as their secondary. Even, primary torp boats will do that because they don't want to give up the flanking. Because if you don't put intel as primary, you can't have the flanking from it.
Yep. And the stuff in the tier 3 and tier 4 to a lot of people isn't as critical as the tier 3 and 4 for intel. So because you get like Achilles heel and Wolf something, I believe it is, if I remember right.
Lone Wolf.
Wolf.
No, that's Lone Wolf is pilot.
Lone Wolf is pilot.
But anyways, you get Achilles heel
and you get boost morale.
There you go. That's the other one. So those two for a lot of people isn't quite as important as that tier 3 with the intel flanking. So That's one of the reasons why you'll see that a lot, as this goes with the secondary. But there's some people that do make this a primary and like make great use out of the Achilles heel and such.
Mm-hmm.
So,
In fact, a couple of the tort boats that I have, I am trying it out to see if I get better results with command as primary versus command as secondary with intel as primary.
yeah.
So, yeah, so it's interesting.
I should point out here with the weapon power, just as a note here, looking at the video, your weapon power is only benefit your beams in the back of your ship.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to point that out.
Yeah, I know.
So you can almost drop that and still be just fine. Drop it a little bit, just make your aux go up to like 125 or so. Anyways, just a little note. So, anyways, thank you very much, teacher, for that.
Yeah,
It's
I could.
I have to razz these sometime, right? So this is some of those things. I mean, we're going to bring this on a regular basis. I hope you guys enjoy things like this. One of the things I want to point out, like Timber said at the beginning of the show, is we are about helping you become a better pilot. So we're going to try and do things that's going to help you become that. And this is one of those things that I'm hoping will help out with that. I wouldn't have to do something else where we find some other gnarly way of introducing you to stuff like this. This is some random stuff that we're pulling in from Teacher's Corner to have a little bit of fun and give you some different perspectives. So maybe we'll find another person that is a little special and random stuff that's off the wall. I don't know. I don't know if you can handle another me. But
yeah, and don't worry about if we do all the runs, so don't think that it's just ISA. I mean, we do ISA because that's where your number one damage potential recording is done. Yeah. But if
you can use anything else,
at Kittimer Vortex or Storming the Spire, we'll help you with those as well, and we'll jump in with you if need be to actually watch how you pilot live. So any run that you want help with, don't be afraid to submit the build. Don't be afraid to submit videos. We'll help you with it. And when it comes to ISA, you tell us what you want to improve. Yep. Survival, damage output, science abilities. You let us know. And guaranteed, we've got a decent amount of knowledge we can help you get there. If you're wanting the uber high end on some, we'll give you what you can. And we'll go from there. I mean, we know people. If we don't have the knowledge, we know the people that do. And we always are about helping the players first. So keep submitting them. We love working on these builds.
Yep, we love looking at them. I mean, no matter what it comes down to. And I want to point out one other thing with Pilot Review. One of the things was not just for helping you become a better person with whatever it be with you, if you want to be a better DPS person. But if you're stuck on a mission and you're one of these new players that's trying to figure out how to do some of these missions and you can't figure out how to do it, come see us. We're here for you. We'll go on those missions with you. We'll help you right through it. So we're not afraid to do stuff like that. So anyways, the other thing I want to point out, and this is something that none of these other co-hosts know about, this is something that I kept secret from even them.
Oh, what'd you do?
Oh, God.
Fortunately, I'm not breaking anything here. Okay, I want to point this out and get you all prepped and planned for this in a month time. So end of June, the last week of June, we're gonna have a giveaway. We're gonna do a giveaway in that, so get ready for that. You're gonna have to be on Twitch, all right, during a live stream to get prizes that we're gonna have get together. So if you got prizes that you'd like to donate, please see me. We'll be more than happy to get that involved. I am going to have some Zen cards ready to give to you. All right, so pass that along. I'm going to give some Zen cards. They're going to be probably about $10 to $20 worth of Zen, but still you're getting Zen cards.
Nice.
So that is something to plan for. Pass it along. We want to make it a big stream. The Zen cards is only going to come out if there's about 50 people watching. I don't want to give my money just to anyone, okay? I'm going to point that out. I'm going to throw this challenge out to people. All right. Because I want to make sure that when it comes down to this giveaway, we're not just giving away to like 10 of our friends who are watching right now. All right.
Yeah.
So 50 people needs to be on at least for
So
that to happen.
advertise, people.
Advertise. We will be advertising ourselves. Like I said, this is one of those things that I am planning. This is the end of June week that we are broadcasting. We're now going to be talking more about it, but we'll probably be sticking at the 8 p.m. Time because that works best for everyone that's here. I think we'll have to figure that out after the show here, but we'll let you know on that for sure if that's our exact time that we start doing things from here on out. But anyways, so that's something to plan for. End of June, giveaway. There'll be some Zen cards if there's 50 people about watching the stream at that time. Thank you all, and have a wonderful day. Appreciate it. Make sure if you like our show that you hit subscribe and like on it. Definitely appreciate those stuff because that definitely helps out with keeping us with the motivation to go on. I mean, I will respond to your questions and comments in whatever form they come in on YouTube here. I'll keep track of stuff like that. So thank you very much. Thank you to the Timber teacher and Chris for joining us once again. And have a nice day, everyone.
Always a pleasure.
I love this stuff.
Peace out, folks.